Welcome to Tag Talks, hosted by Sales Leadership Society, whose mission is to create a valuable and sustainable ecosystem that educates the business community and cultivates sales leadership and sales operation centers of excellence across Georgia. Thank you for joining today. My name is John Kosar. I serve as a board member and mentor on the Sales Leadership Society. As a board member, we endeavor to create and cultivate a community of resources, relationships for sales leaders and sales operations professionals, so they may collaborate and learn, discover, and leverage the trends that are happening, enabling them to best navigate what we think is a complex business challenges that are impacting sales organizations across Georgia. And thank you to our Gigabyte sponsor, Comcast Business. Today, we are joined by Mark Fordyce, Regional Sales Director at WorkVivo. Mark is an award-winning sales and technology executive committed to driving positive change through servant leadership. Mark is a proven leader with a successful track record in leading teams through change, building service-oriented organizations, creating technology programs that result in revenue generation and cost containment, as well as risk mitigation and ultimately improved customer satisfaction. Mark has an interesting and unique fact that when he started his career, it was in sales operations. Then he joined McKesson for 11 years, where he managed the enterprise application teams and the PMO before joining MedAssets as a vice president of enterprise technology solutions. And today, Mark leads as a regional sales at WorkVivo. And WorkVivo is leading employee experience platforms that increase employee engagement and serve as the central point for all internal communications in the workplace. Welcome, Mark, and thank you for joining us today.
Hey, thanks so much, John. It's great to see you. Happy New Year, and thanks for having me.
Happy New Year to you. We're thrilled to have you. And, I want to take like the next 15, 20 minutes and get your perspective, if we can, on some things such as the current events. I want to talk more about your career dynamics. I think it's very unique and a great value. And maybe you could provide some nuggets of wisdom based off that experience, and maybe, finish up with like some future looking growth mindset thoughts as well.
Sure, that sounds great. Happy to.
Mark, one of the challenges that we hear a lot around what sales professionals are facing is how to build a structured and repeatable account planning process. We know how important this is, right? As a sales leader in a startup SaaS product company, and in your role now, very curious what you would say would be some of the best practices or unique processes that you found not only essential, but it has really helped you in the success that you've achieved.
Sure, yeah, and I, like you said, I've got a bit of a unique perspective in having served in the role of a technologist leader, as a procurement leader, and now on the commercial side. And I love doing those rotations for so many reasons, one of which is just you can empathize and learn a great deal more about the people that you serve. And you kind of mentioned it in the introduction. I think really I look at serving in a sales capacity as serving everyone that you're engaged with. And as it relates to an account plan, as a leader within IT, I would have a 1 year, 3 year, and 5 year strategic plan.
Right.
And most companies have those types of plans. And I really think it's up to us to be fluent with what those are, so that we can serve a little bit better and be really fluent with, gosh, what are people being measured on? How are people going to be awarded for this? And really just tightly couple everything that you have to offer to help people innovate and to get there. So an account plan for a salesperson is much like maybe the 1 year strategic plan a company has, and that you need to be really fluent with anything and everything going on with a company. And I know most of us in the field are really good about looking at annual reports, and for companies that are private, maybe looking at similar firms, just to get crisp on what's going on in the industry and what's going on with a company. And then just documenting information that will just make you better at serving and being really crisp and targeting the specific challenges that people are facing that may be blocking them from innovating. And what I would tell you, and I think what's especially relevant now during what I call COVID times, is that the only constant is change. And there's a lot of change at companies, whether it's personnel changes or otherwise. And you can't let a plan go stale. You have to constantly test things out with your champions and with your sales leadership and the folks at the accounts, just to make sure that you're being fluent with things, and that when you're successful in consulting with your clients, that they're getting everything out of the solution services that they bought, and that they're growing and that they're exceeding their goals.
Mark, how much time do you think a sales professional should put into building one of these plans, either initially and then that ongoing?
Yeah, I think you really need to spend a lot of time up front. And I get very detailed myself, because I look at us as extensions to teams. So if I'm selling technology, a technology organization, I like to think that I dotted line to the CIO that I'm serving, and that CIO knows that he or she can call on me at any time as an extension of their team. So you really want to be really fluent and spend a good amount of time up front doing research, and then it's just a matter of monitoring things, testing things out, and kind of maintaining over time when there are changes. And there's just a lot of dynamics within companies these days, and everyone's trying to navigate their own competitive landscape. And our goal is to help the clients we serve outpace everyone else, and just be the best firm and best individuals they can be in their roles.
Well said. Well said. You mentioned where you do your research, right? How you find this information in quarterly reports, things like that. Anything that you have found that's been a go-to good source for you that you might recommend?
I think there's no better source than the people themselves that you're serving, of course. And it's great when you can be engaged in listening and really empathizing and understanding kind of what's going on for the folks that you're serving and in the companies that you're serving. Obviously, that's number one. But earnestly just doing a lot of research, and then certainly being engaged within the community, within all the various partner system integrator individuals that are actively engaged within client sites, serving and solving problems. It's great to be a part of that partner community, just so that you can really ensure that you're connecting the dots, and that you're a part of the solution, and that you're not adversely affecting anything underway or anybody's goals that they already have in play.
Very good. Thank you. Part of building that plan, right, is understanding the client's landscape and those that you're working to build relationships with. And a lot of times you may hear it referred to as a persona, right, a target, right, and ultimately it's a buyer. And the thing that I think about is, how do you get into that buyer's mindset? And so you've sat on both sides, right? And so what could you maybe share that you've seen as giving you a real advantage, and kind of helped you sustain the progression that you've had throughout your career?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just making sure that people feel heard. And as a buyer, it was interesting. I was blessed to work with a lot of different local, regional, national, global system integrators and partners. I was able to work with a lot of various sales individuals. And I became really good friends with the folks that were consultative, that really gave me good advice and counsel that helped me innovate, grow my practice, and exceed C-suite expectations and revenue goals. I keep up with them to this day. There's a different constituency that made it really evident that they were there maybe to serve themselves, that they weren't really listening, or they weren't nearly as engaged. So I think from a buyer's mindset, the biggest goal in my North Star is personal relationships. You're there to serve. And if, and as everything kind of progresses in terms of what you're doing to help innovate progresses nicely, great. But the biggest goal is to serve and to have a long lasting relationship, and to earn your spot, as a trusted advisor. And people have very real needs, and you just need to be attentive to those needs. You need to acknowledge those needs, and you need to make sure that what you're there to do to help solve problems is really tightly coupled to those needs, that you're not just introducing things that are either irrelevant to them or doing anything that makes people feel like they're not heard. And the other thing is, I'm blessed to have done a rotation within procurement. I have a lot of friends. I'm very grateful for these friends that are chief procurement officers, and I'm fluent with how they're measured and how I can best serve them. And I think it's critical that we as sales professionals really align to procurement professionals, that we help and serve them. And they're under incredible pressure to garner savings, to reduce costs. And I think if we as sales professionals can get creative and help them and make their lives easier and make them successful and help grow in their careers, all the better. So that's, I think, my biggest perspective is really just focus on authentic relationships that will be long lasting over the course of, people's careers and the companies they're at.
Wonderful. So trusted advisor and act as a servant leader.
That's right.
Right. Yeah. Fantastic. And so kind of brings to the last part here, and that's a bit of a growth mindset. How you take learning experiences throughout your industry, throughout your experience, right, your career, and continue to build upon them. Recently, research by Scripted revealed that it's approaching almost half of sales people, about 44%, were giving up after the no from a prospect. But a real sales professional, a real growth-minded sales professional takes a step back on that no, takes a learning experience, right, and helps to become better in the next engagement. And so, what could you share with us, maybe that's been those nuggets of growth mindset for you?
Sure. Yeah. No, and I think it's tough. People often, if they receive a no, it can be a little bit jarring. And then, like you said, a lot of people don't follow up. I've been in the healthcare technology industry for the bulk of my career, and I'm a big fan of talking through kind of just the concept of diagnostics. Among my most favorite technologists were what I often reference as the best diagnosticians. So when you'd have a SEV1, there's a huge outage, everyone is panicking, systems are down. It was the individual who would get on the call and introduce a sense of calm and say, let's pause. So when networking would have infighting with the applications team, who would have infighting with the cloud provider or the data center staff, it would bring a sense of peace. No one is in trouble, everyone relax, and they would ask the right questions. Let's go through the change log. Let's go through kind of the approvals. Were there any other modifications made that we may not have been aware of? So it's just asking some of the additional questions. Comparably within healthcare, if someone walks into their physician for an annual physical and says, look, I'm perfectly healthy, I don't even know why I'm here, my spouse made me come, the doctor is going to be asking certain questions that could lead the patient to realize, gosh, maybe I do have a problem. I've had one too many artery cloggers. I've had one too many butter burgers. I need to think seriously about maybe making some adjustments. And I think that's our role as sales individuals is to ask, clarifying questions, to tell me, explain, and describe, how people are feeling, and then just relaying, stories of empathy. But again, just asking all of the right questions that help people really understand their situation, and it helps everybody gain greater clarity in terms of what the actual problem is. And I think that's really where you can help people that may have otherwise blissfully kind of advanced, when you can really educate them that, gosh, there really is a situation that needs focus and needs resolution at the end of the day.
I say a lot of times, right, whenever a buyer says no, is it no now? Is there no forever?
Exactly.
And defining it, a lot of times it's just the no for right now. And like you said, you start asking why, what's changed, right? What did we miss, right? And learning that.
Well said. Yeah. And if after you've asked all those questions, it's still a no, to your credit, is that a no forever or a no now kind of a scenario for sure. And everybody has their stories, but 9 times out of 10 people come back to you because they enjoyed the engagement, and then it became the right time and the right season to begin resolving an issue.
Yep, the
Yeah.
right timing. Um, what is there anything else that you might share about how you stay sharp or keep learning as a sales professional? Is it blogs? Is it podcasts? Is it a book? Is it, I think you mentioned, relationships and learning from others and partners in the industry. What might you share with us?
Yeah, no, that's great. It's all of the above. I mean, certainly organizations like what you're a part of, John, with the sales tag leadership, iron sharpens iron. I think one of the most critical things is if there are a lot of really fun podcasts as well that I listen to, but it's just talking with your sales leaders and with peers that you trust that are the best in their trade. And I'm a huge fan of crowdsourcing. How can I better improve how I interact with clients to be a better servant leader, to be more attentive to needs, staying on top of industry trends. And then there's so many various sales methodologies and technologies that are available. I'm a big fan of kind of taking the best of all of them, but always staying tightly coupled. A lot of folks will talk about kind of this concept of medpic, always being tightly coupled to the metrics in the from to story, so that you're there to serve. So I think being a part of a community of sales peers, sales leaders, regional, local, and global SIs, being a part of associations like the Sales Tag Association. And then there's just a series of books, and there's so many great books that are worthy of rereading, like books like Power-Based Selling, and I'm a big fan of value-based selling, all in the guise of the North Star of establishing authentic relationships and serving in the best way that you can.
Love it. Thank you, Mark. Thank you for your time. Thanks for your consideration. This has been great. I love the nuggets of information.
Yeah, I know, it's my pleasure, and always good to see you. And thanks so much for the opportunity.
Yeah. From all of us at the Tag Sales Leadership Society, we appreciate you as our guest. And thank you to our Gigabyte sponsor, Comcast Business. Wishing everyone a great day. Go forward and be great.